think we have about a minute, but it is Tuesday. I forgot what day it was. uh, Tuesday, Yoga Flow. If anybody's out there, if you can tell me if you can hear me. We are not starting for about a minute, but we're getting close. So let me know if anybody's out there and the sound seems okay as you start to get comfortable. So if you're home, grab your blankets. I don't plan to use a strap today, but get your blocks if you have them handy and start to settle in to sit comfortably. So maybe you want to sit up on blankets. Thank you. Somebody can hear me. So sit on a blanket or two if you choose to, in a chair, of course, if you'd like to. Let yourself get comfortable, whether you're sitting cross-legged or you're stretching your legs out long. Just really be mindful there of getting to where you feel good in your hips. Just so when you do start to gently close your eyes and bring your awareness to your breath, it's easy just to be with your breath. You don't feel uncomfortable. You can lengthen easily up through the top of your head. And watch your breaths in and out through your nose. Not forcing the breath, just receiving your breaths in and out. And then start to let yourself move in circles with your torso, with your breath, letting your exhalations bring you forward as you come off to one side. You start to inhale as you come back, and then exhale as you come into on the other side. So you're going in the same direction. And if you feel a little bit dizzy doing this, keep your eyes open. Let your gaze come maybe 4 or 6 feet in front of you there on the floor so that you're very easily starting to move with your breath. We're going to move in the other direction, so take your time. You stop where it feels good so that you can just reverse directions. Again, being with your breath. And then the next time that you end up forward, let yourself stay there. Use whatever support you need. Hands can be on the floor. You can walk yourself further forward if you choose, or stay up high, keeping the back nice and long. If you're able to release your head, do, as long as it doesn't put too much into your back. You can release your head forward, let your head hang, and feel that release through the back of the neck and the upper back, the lower back, and your hips. And then come up enough where you can just move over towards your left thigh. So you just let your torso come out over the left thigh here, and take your time. Draw your right sit bone back just a little bit. And then we'll walk back through center, and we're going to go over the other side. So coming over to the right, letting yourself draw that left sitting bone back a little bit. And then we'll make our way back into center with the hands. Walking on back upright now. Let your fingertips come out beside you onto the floor. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And now let your head tilt to the left ear towards your left shoulder. And then from there, let your head just carry you a little more, rolling down sideways through your spine. Only as much as you're comfortable to be, right? So you let the head hang, release through the right side of the neck there. And then just let your right hand come on up by your rib cage and then in front of your right shoulder, by your ear, and stretch the arm long into a long side stretch here. Breathing into the right ribs. And then we're going to slowly rise on back up, lower that arm on down beside us here now. Start to tilt your head to the right ear towards the right shoulder. And then again, let the weight of the head just roll you a little more down sideways through your spine there. Feel that weight of your head. And then let that left hand just trail up by your ribs and front of your shoulder, by your ear, reaching along here into side stretch. And then we'll rise on back up and lower the arms on down. Walk your hands on back behind you. You can stay up on fingertips or you can lean back flat onto your hands if you choose. Let your chest come forward. Look wherever feels good for you. Maybe you want to look up. Maybe you want to look forward. And then we'll rise on back up. But we're going to switch the cross of our legs. So you stretch your legs out if you want to before you do the other side. Shake out a little bit. And then we'll bring the other leg in front. So coming into that cross-legged again. And this time, let's move with the breath, but let it be forward and back. So let your exhalations bring you forward and your inhales bring you back. Now, whether that's an inch or a lot farther is up to you. Letting the exhales carry you forward and the inhales bring you back. And then again, the next time you end up forward, let yourself stay there. And again, you can walk farther out with your hands if you choose. You can go as far forward as you want in this seated forward bend. See if you can let your torso shift and your shoulders shift just a little bit from side to side, keeping your hands centered though. So you just let yourself go a little bit swaying side to side. Once you come back to center, again, coming into your breath, let yourself release wherever you can be. Think of being soft through your face, all around your eyes, all around your mouth. And then we'll slowly walk ourselves on back up, coming all the way back up to sitting here now, taking a nice inhale at the top. And on the exhale, let's twist to our left. Bring yourself on around. That right hand can be midline or it can cross over to your left knee. Lengthening upward, feel your right sit bone drawing down there. And on your next inhale, let your back arm rise up overhead. So coming into really finding that length through the left side of the body. And then just lean a little bit over towards the right, coming maybe over a little more towards your right thigh, coming into a little side stretch there. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to lower that back arm on down behind us here. Nice inhale here. And on the exhale, come on back around into center. Take a breath here at center. Let yourself even out through your sitting bones there. Inhaling. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to the right. Left hand, again, can come midline or across to your knee. That's up to you. And let your next inhale rise your right arm, your back arm up overhead. Lengthen up first. And then just let yourself lean over to the left a little bit and come over into that side stretch, breathing into that right side. And let your next inhale bring you back up to the top. And on the exhale, lower the arm down. You may even want to increase your twist a little bit, maybe even look behind you a little more. One more inhale. And on the exhale, use your belly to bring you on back around into center. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And then just clasp your hands together. Really squeeze your palms towards each other here. And even think about gently squeezing your fingers, like you can feel the bones in your fingers, like pressing into each other there. And then just press forward with the heels of the hands, right directly forward of your chest. Try not to roll forward with the shoulders. Think about the chest coming forward as you press into the heels of the hands there now. And then we'll release and bring our hands on down beside us and circle through your wrist a little bit here. Let your hands circle. You can do loose fists. You can keep your hands open. And then shake your hands out just a little bit. We're going to come on around towards our hands and knees. So if you know you don't want to be on your knees, don't do it. Grab a blanket. You can have a blanket under your knees or your hands. You can be on fists if your wrists bother you. Just pay attention to your hands as well. And then take your time, get set up there. Really spread your fingers wide here if you've got your hands flat. And for a second, just look over to the left. Just turn your head to look to the left. Just releasing your neck there. And then look straight back down between your hands. And just turn your head now to look to the right. And then bring your gaze on back down between your hands. Inhaling here. And on the exhale, drawing the tailbone up under you and rounding up into your cat pose. And on your inhale, sending your tailbone back and up, moving through into your cow. And again, exhaling, drawing navel towards the spine as the tailbone drops down, feeling that cat pose. Inhale as you move back through into cow. And then one more time, exhaling as you draw into your cat pose. And inhaling as you move back through into cow. And then come to more neutral spine, and let's just send the right foot back behind us on the floor. Curl the toes under like a mini lunge if you're up higher in your chair. Just waking up now through the calf, through the back of the leg. Now, if any of you want, you can lift that left knee up and even the left foot up off the floor. Coming in a little bit more into your arms, your shoulders. And then bring the knee back down if it was up. We're going to bring that right knee back under us and stretch the left leg back long. So again, pressing in now to find the back of the leg there. Again, lifting that right knee or the foot as well up off the floor, optional. And then we'll bring the knee back down, bring the foot on back in. And from here, let's bring our left foot forward and find our, first lunge. So take your time. Let yourself use whatever height you want to be with your hands, whether you have your blocks or you have your hands on a chair or the floor. And just enjoy here. Coming into that first lunge. Lengthen through the back body. Think of bringing the back of your head into line with your spine rather than lifting your chin up or drawing your chin down. Just feel that nice length. And we're going to switch to come to the other side. Whether you like to step forward or back. Finding that length again down the back body. Press the feet gently away from each other. Good. And let's step forward from here. Coming on into standing forward bend now. So get your feet set. And once you do, start to bend a knee at a time. Walk a little bit in your forward bend. Remember, you can have your hands on blocks. You can have your hands on the floor or a chair. Just be mindful. Ease your way into the backs of the legs a little more by walking. And then come on back into center. Even yourself out. Whether your knees are bent or straighter legs, just make sure you're not locking your knees. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. And just come into watching your breaths now. In and out. Easy, nice, full, deep breaths. And then let's bend both our knees, rising on up to standing here now. We'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose, adjust however you need. If you need to look at your feet, do. Once you feel able now to bring your gaze on forward and out, take your time. Just enjoy whether your eyes are opened or closed. Just imagine you're looking way, way out, beyond the wall, out towards the horizon. Feeling that sense of space around you, almost like you're supported by the air all around you. And as we unfold our arms on down here now, we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, bend the knees as you come forward, coming into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back. And let's step the right foot back and come into lunge. And inhale, exhale into your downward facing dog pose. So take your time, come into your dog and start a little bit of walking. Let yourself bend a knee at a time, really opening up through the backs of the legs. First dog, so let the body get a little acclimated, moving how you need. And then come on back to your full dog. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. And on your next inhale, come on out to a plank. Engage your belly here. And see if you can bend one knee at a time here, but just slightly, right? So you're just barely bending one knee and then the other. You can really feel your feet, your toes on the mat. Let yourself feel your belly working. And then come back to full plank. We're going to lower down. You can put your knees down first if you choose. Elbows right by the ribs. Now let's come on into a little Sphinx pose. Bringing our forearms onto the mat, elbows under the shoulders. Spread the fingers nice and wide. And then see if you can just let yourself turn your head to look towards the right corner, front corner of your mat. And then bring your gaze back to center and just turn to look towards the left front corner. And then release to bring yourself back to center. We're going to lower down and we're going to come on back into down dog, whether you want to come through a half, a full push-up, or back to your hands and knees. And then back to dog. Spread those fingers wide. Feel your elbows hugging towards each other. And this time, right foot comes forward so that you can put your left knee down if you need to get there. And we'll come on back into standing forward bend. Right to your breath. If your hands want to release to your elbows, let them. If you feel better to use support, do. Full deep breaths. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips, bend our knees and rise on up. We'll inhale the arms up overhead. And as we exhale, we're going to come forward again into standing forward bend. Let your inhale lengthen out your spine. Exhale, left foot back into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Good. Let's come out to plank. Stay here for a breath or two, and then come back to your down dog again. Elbows hugging in. And then we'll come out to plank again, and we're going to lower down. Again, knees first if you need. Elbows right by the ribs. And let's come into a cobra where we're not using our hands. Float your hands up. Let your body lift up a little bit to a baby cobra. Let your hands just be off the floor where you're really using your back. And then release your head down and your hands down. Take a breath here into your low back. And then we'll inhale our way up again. This time, use your hands a little bit. You can still stay low, or you can press into your hands and rise up higher. Elbows hug in towards the ribs, opening here across the chest. And then we'll release and come on back down, and we're going to make our way back to down dog from here. Whether you come through a half or a full push-up. And we'll bring the left foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll step all the way back into our standing forward bend. Full deep breaths, right to the breath. Let your hands do whatever they want. To your back, to your elbows, behind your legs. Sometimes it even feels good to clasp your hands at the back of your head. Not pulling, but just feeling a little extra weight. And one more breath. And then let your hands come up to your hips. Bend your knees, press into your feet, and rise up. We'll inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Let's bring our left arm over on top of our right. Give ourselves a hug here. And then sit back into a little chair pose. Let yourself keep your gaze maybe 6 feet in front of you on the floor. Let yourself release there. Kind of feel the weight of the arms. The elbows are hanging a little bit. If they might be supported too, right? Just depends. But let yourself open up there through the shoulders. And then start to send the backs of the hands towards each other. Now, you don't have to go any further than hugging. You can go just a little bit releasing the hands. You can go into your full eagle wrap if you choose. Let the shoulders release. Open up between the shoulder blades. One more breath. And now press into the feet. Rise up. Unfold your arms on down beside you. And let's inhale the arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, let your hands come down through the midline in front of your heart. And then we'll bring the right arm on top of the left. Now again, you can hold up higher or lower. You can go kind of armpit level, or you can go up over your shoulders. Sit back now in towards that chair pose. So make sure you can look at your knees. Make sure you're even. You got your knees out over the center of your feet. Then look forward, maybe 6 feet in front of you. And then if you, again, can start to head towards backs of the hands towards each other, or that full wrap of eagle wrap, that's fine. Or stay hugging if that's better. One more breath. And then we'll release the arms as we rise on up. We're going to inhale the arms out and up. And on the exhale, fold forward, coming into your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale lengthen out your spine. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into down dog. Let your inhale carry you to plank, and your exhale will lower you down. Inhale into your cobra of choice. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rise up, arms flowing to the top. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let your inhale bring you to your plank. And let your exhale lower you down. Inhale into your cobra. And exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale into standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rising up, arms flowing to the top. And on the exhale, we'll come forward again. Let your inhale lengthen your spine. Exhale into down dog. Place your hands. Bring yourself into your down dog. Move around a little bit if you want. Wag your tail, walk. Spread your fingers wide. Feel your elbows hugging gently towards each other. From here, we're going to bring our left foot forward to come into lunge. And then you may want to grab your blocks. We're going to bring our hands to the inside of that left foot, all right? So how high you want to be. And usually what that enables you to do is to widen your stance a little bit, all right? So you really want to maybe have your right foot go a little more to the right. We're going to think about lifting up from here. Maybe thinking about it will be enough, right? You can put your hands up higher on blocks, higher blocks. Be up higher that way. You can put your hand on your thigh, hands on your thigh. Or you can rise yourself on up, coming into that Warrior One variation where the back heel is reaching directly behind your foot. You can rise your arms overhead if you choose. Some of you may even want to look up a little bit, feeling a little bit more openness now in the front of the right hip. Energy up through the fingertips. Good. We're going to lower ourselves back down with the hands. You're back into your lunge now. So take your time. If you can, go a little bit lower. You might want to lower your blocks, even get out of your hands and come down to your forearms, or you might not. All right, that's up to you. You can go all the way down to the mat if you want. Letting the hips release a little bit deeper there. Good. And then from here, come on back up and bring your hands to either side of that front foot. So now you're back to a normal lunge. And keeping your right hand grounded, bring your left hand to your left hip and turn into a twist here. So hand on the low back or stretching the arm up. Some of you may even want to look up towards your left hand, maybe even letting the left hand go back a little bit. If you want to open a little more there through the chest. And then we'll bring our hand on back down. And we're going to come on back into down dog from here. Once you're in your down dog, walk to the tops of the feet a little bit. So let yourself press into the tops of the toes. And then come on out to your plank. And let's come on down again, moving through how you want. And come into a little up dog if you can, where your knees are off the mat. Now your toes can either be curled under or you can be on the tops of your toes, elbows hugging in. And then we'll release to come back down, and we'll make our way back into down dog from here. Good. Walk a little bit. Nice. We're going to bring our right foot forward, and we're coming into that lunge. Remember, as you bring your hands now to the inside of that right foot, it makes your stance wider. And maybe it's enough just to bring your forearm up to above your knee. You don't have to lift up. You can if you choose. You can come up into that high lunge, that warrior one variation. Totally optional. You can stay forward. You can bring your arms up if you choose. Good. We're going to release to come back down with our hands. And again, maybe you can go a little lower. Maybe come into your forearms here on your blocks, or maybe all the way down to the floor. You can get a little bit deeper into your hips here. Good. And then come back up to your hands. Walk your hands to either side of that front foot, either the blocks or your hands on the floor. And we'll add that twist. Bringing the right hand to the hip, drawing your right shoulder up. And again, you can stretch your right arm directly up overhead. You may want to look up, let the hand come back a little bit. And then we'll come on back down. And from here, we're going to step into a plank pose. Walk yourself back into plank, and then walk your plank a little bit. Bend one knee at a time. Let yourself bring the knee almost down to the floor if you can. And then let's lower ourselves into a little bit of a child's pose here. How far you go, up to you. Shifting back, staying more forward if you need to. So take your time. Breathe into your low back a little bit. Good. And then we'll come on back to come into down dog. So releasing forward to your knees and then coming on back into down dog. Now if you want to do vinyasa or kriya here, you can. You can come out to your plank. You can move through to a back bend. Good. And let's meet back in down dog. Take your time. Walk a little bit. Wag your tail if you want to. And we're going to bring the left foot forward. Now have your blocks handy here at the front of your mat. And we're going to come up to warrior two. So start to get your heels lined up now really easily. Reaching out now through the hands. Take your time to release into those long fingers. If you feel tension in your hands, kind of wiggle your fingers around a little bit if you need to. Shake them out. So it starts to feel real natural to feel like your hands are just extensions of your arms. Looking out over the top of that left hand now. Energy out through the fingertips. Good. Feel the feet equal in the floor. Let's turn the left palm up. Inhale, reach up towards the sky. And on the exhale, come into your side angle. Left hand or forearm onto your thigh. Rising that right arm up in line if you can, or keeping your right hand down on your hip. Enjoy that length through both sides of your body. Draw your left outer hip back a little bit, keeping that left knee in line. And then we'll come on back into Warrior Two. Pressing the feet away from each other. Now from here, we're going to straighten the left knee out. And we're going to turn to square our shoulders towards the front of our mats. We're going to come into pyramid. So that means an adjustment of this back leg, right? A lot of us will have to step in a little bit shorter stance, bringing the shoulders around, getting that back heel on the floor, turned out about 20, 30 degrees in that back foot. So from here, let your hands come onto your hips. Get your hips as squared around as you can. And then ease your way forward. Feel your belly engaging. Zip up your low belly. Think about starting as you get a little lower to reach back through your tailbone. And stop about parallel to the floor if you can get that far. Reach out through the top of your head. And then go ahead and release your hands down to whatever surface you want to bring them to blocks or to the floor or a chair. And again, lengthen out now through both sides of the body. Feel your thighs engaging upward. Check out your front left foot there. Make sure you're not rolling to the outside of it. Good. One more breath. And now from here, we're going to bend the front knee. Shift your blocks forward of you here now, because we're going to let ourselves come on up into Warrior Three here. So coming onto that left foot, the left leg supporting you, the right toes are facing down. Look at your right foot back there. You can see your toes. And then bring your gaze there between your hands. And then as you exhale, bend both your knees a little bit. And when you inhale, stretch back into long legs, both of them. So bend both knees a little bit here. And then inhale and reach long again through the legs. One more time, bending both the knees here. And then inhale, reach back. And now see if you can reach your left arm forward. So reaching if you can, opposite arm and leg, coming into your Warrior Three. One more breath. And then let your hand come down, and we're going to reach back into lunge. So as gracefully as you can, bring your blocks back, bring your back leg on back down to the floor. Come on back into your lunge. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. From here, bring your feet a little closer together. Lift your left leg up in the air. Three-legged dog, and then bend that knee and open the hip. Let the knee reach up towards where the wall meets the ceiling. You can look underneath your left arm there. And then release, bring the foot on back down. And we're going to switch and bring the right leg up. Three-legged dog. And then bend the knee, open the hip, let yourself look under your right arm. Right knee reaches up towards where the wall meets the ceiling. Maybe a little higher depending on you. And then we'll release and bring the foot on back down. And again, you can do what you want here. Put your knees down if you want. Come into Vinyasas or Kriyas if you choose. Rest in child's pose if you'd rather. Take your time. Let yourself move the way you choose. Good. Let's meet back in down dog. And then from here, we'll bring that right foot forward. We're coming up for Warrior Two. Remember, you need your blocks handy. Need your heels lined up. Finding that alignment of that front knee. Starting to reach out through the arms. And again, if your hands feel a little iffy, shake them out. Wiggle around with your fingers. Be easy. When you get ready to reach out through those long arms, let it feel so natural. Like your arms are being held up from underneath. You don't feel tensed up in the top of your shoulders. You can feel that release in the tops of the shoulders. Feet pressing gently away from each other. Turning the right palm up. Let's inhale and reach up. Nice breath into the right side. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle. So hand or forearm onto your thigh. If you choose to add the left arm up into line, fine. Keeping the hand down is fine. Finding that length through both sides of the body. Really feel that long line from the left fingertips down to the outside edge of your left heel. One more breath. We're going to come on back to Warrior Two. Press those feet away from each other as you come. And then we're going to straighten that front knee out. Remember, we're going to turn our hips. So again, adjusting the back leg as you need to come around with your shoulders and your hips for pyramid. So once you get that front leg straight, both legs are straight, hips are square, hands on the hips, you can kind of feel your hip pointer bones there. So imagine that you're drawing your hip pointer bones towards each other as you come forward. You don't even have to get parallel to the floor. You're working like crazy just to move a little forward. Think about reaching back more through your tailbone, but keeping that zip up of the belly. Take your time. Feel those thighs lifting upward. Good. We're going to lower our hands down to whatever surface we want to use, the blocks or the floor. And, once you get your hands down, if you feel like you want to change your stance a little bit, do it so that it feels good. And I forgot to say on the other side, but you can bow over the leg if that feels better, or you can stay up nice and long. Just enjoy opening up through the backs of the legs here. Good. One more breath. And now, we're going to bend the front knee. Take your blocks on forward because you're going to launch yourself forward into that Warrior Three, lifting the left foot back up off the floor. Let your head look back at your left foot. Toes are pointing down. And then bring your gaze back between your blocks of your hands. Let your knees both bend. And then start to reach long again as you inhale. And now as you exhale, bend both knees again. And when you inhale, stretch back long legs. And one more time, bending both knees. And then inhale and reach into the long legs here. Right arm reaching forward if you choose. Let yourself come to where you can be. Good. And then we'll bring the hand on down. Now we're going to step back into lunge again. So it's kind of hard to do that gracefully. Bring yourself back into your lunge. And then from here, we're going to come on back into down dog. Bring yourself in, feet a little closer together. One more time, three-legged dog. Right leg up first. Bend the knee. Open the hip again. Look underneath that right arm. And then lower the foot on back down and we'll switch. Left leg comes up. Bend that knee, looking if you can under your left arm. And then release, come on back down, and you can come out to plank and into a back bend of choice. And then once you come on back into down dog, we're going to lower our knees down, and we're going to shift back towards pose of a child. So let yourself release, breathing into that low back. And then from there, come up enough to thread the needle with your right arm. Let your right arm come on through. Rest on the right side of your head there, or you can put your left hand under your head if you want to, or you can stretch your left arm overhead. And then we're going to switch. So bring the left hand back to press up, and we'll go to the other side. Again, your hand can be really close by your face, elbows soft, or you can reach the arm long. And then bring the right hand back to bring yourself up. We're going to shift forward, curl our toes under, and now you can come up into a squat higher where your elbows are above your knees, your feet are to the outside edges of your mat. Or if you prefer to come down into a squat with your feet on the floor, you can come into a squat here to release your back and your hips. So pay attention to how your knees and your hips feel. Let yourself breathe. If you want to shift forward into a little bit of a crow pose, or not even shifting, but maybe just playing a little bit with pressing your arms and your legs into your arms here, you can. Or you can think about coming up into a little arm balance if you'd like. Good. And we're all going to rise on back up with our hips and get our feet right underneath us. So get yourself into feet hips distance apart now. And bring your hands on up to your hips. Bend your knees. We're going to rise on up. And inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So just enjoy a breath here. Breathe and release. And then unfold your arms. Let yourself release a little bit. Shake out. And let's bring our mats all the way into a wall so that your short edge of your mat is into a wall. And let's just do a little bit of releasing the shoulders a little bit more. Turning our right shoulder towards the wall and rising our inside right arm up the wall. So you can get as close as you want. You're going to bend that right elbow and bring the right hand behind either your head or your neck or onto your upper back. You can get as close as you want, and you can have the elbow go forward more if you need to. Bring your left hand on behind you. Let it stay low if that's better, turning the palm outward. Or you can move your hands towards each other here on your back if that feels really good to you. Keeping your gaze forward, letting yourself imagine that you're breathing in and out through your heart for a couple of breaths. And then we're going to release, come away from the wall so we can lower down and turn around. And again, how close you get as you rise that inside left arm up the wall is up to you. As the hand comes down, adjust your elbow, right hand back behind you. You can turn out on your low back. You can send your hands towards each other if you choose. Don't push it. Just let your shoulders open naturally here with the pose. Doesn't matter if your hands are way far apart. Let yourself again open up here as you look forward. Feel your tailbone reaching down towards between your heels. And just enjoy letting the shoulders release on their own here. And then we're going to let our arms come on down. Turn your back to the wall. Clasp your hands behind you here now. And let the back of your head just release into the wall and start to walk your feet a little away from the wall. And you're just letting your arms hang, right? So your hands are probably right in close to the buttocks. Just let that happen. Let the chest open easily here. Feel that openness through the front of the body. Imagine breathing into the belly, then into the ribs, then up into your chest. Good. And then we'll release. Let your hips come on back. Shake your arms out. And we're going to come down onto our bellies on the floor. So as you come down, just come on down, let yourself, you all can actually, if you want, let your feet be all the way back to touch the wall so that when you flex your feet, you can feel the baseboard with the balls of your feet. Not necessary to do that. That's up to you. And then rest for a couple of breaths, letting your forehead come on down and letting yourself release, releasing through your face, your jaw. And let's slide now onto our forearms with our elbows underneath our shoulders. Find your Sphinx pose, right? Really spread those hands. Feel your hands on the mat. Feel your fingers, each finger, your thumbs. Let yourself bring your gaze between your hands. And then go ahead and bring your hands together. Clasp your hands, send your pinky finger out. Feel the outside edges of your hands into the floor. Curl your toes under. If you don't want to do a full plank, lift up to your knees. If you do want to do a full plank, you can lift up onto that forearm plank and let your feet, your heels can, if you're by the wall, press into the wall. Elbows hug inward. Keep pressing into the outside edges of your hands. Your elbows are softly drawing in. Let go between the shoulder blades. Let your heart melt a little bit towards the ground. And then, if you want to go more, walk your feet on up and come on up into a dolphin pose. You don't have to do this part. You can come down and rest. You can stay in the plank. One breath here in dolphin if you're there. And then walk back again into that plank if you can. Let yourself come slowly back into plank. Press into those forearms. Now, you can come down and rest, or you can do that again. You can walk your feet on up again towards your face, or not. And then you can come down again into that plank. And then come on in to rest again. Let your hands come under your head. Breathe into your low back. And some of you might have had quite enough of this to rest and stay resting. If you want to do another dolphin pose, you can. You can actually keep your feet to the wall, shift back onto your knees, and then come up into your dolphin where your heels are up the wall. If you choose, don't do it if it's too much. Stay resting. You can rest in child's pose or you can rest on your belly. So don't force it. Be where you can. Let yourself rest if you need. If you're at the wall, you know you can lift a leg up or you can do both legs up the wall if you choose to. Good. So when you get ready to rest, come on down. Let yourself come into child's pose, or if you'd rather sit up with your head above your heart, do. Because we all actually are going to come on around with our legs and let ourselves come on forward with our legs and sit with our legs on out in front of us, which for some of us means sitting up on something. So maybe a blanket, maybe a block, right? Maybe if a seated forward bend for you feels better to have some support underneath your knees, you can use blocks, or a rolled blanket is really good underneath the knees so that the knees are bent, and when you come into a forward bend, you're coming easier into coming forward from your low back rather than rounding forward. That's if you're tight in your low back and in your hamstrings. That's just the way some of us are built, right? So sit up nice and tall. Let yourself bring your hands on down. Send your palms down towards the floor. Enjoy lengthening up through the top of your head. And now feel your heels on the ground. Draw your heels back towards you. Imagine your inner thighs melting down a little bit towards the ground. And then as you exhale, come on forward into bringing your hands either to your legs or beside your legs. Maybe you feel like you want to reach down lower and go towards your ankles or your toes. Take your time coming into your seated forward bend. Let your head, if possible, bring the chin in line so the head is in line with your spine, or go ahead and let your head hang, if that's okay for you. Some people, that puts too much into the low back, so you just have to pay attention to where you can be. One more breath here. And then we'll slowly come on back up. And let's either cross our right ankle above our left knee into a figure 4 or below if you need. Or some of you can go ahead and coming all the way across, lining your knees up a little more into that half cow face, right? So that's up to you and your hips. Twist from this forward bend, right? So your right hand is going to go somewhere on the outside of that left leg or foot, and you're going to bring your left hand to your hip and roll that left shoulder up. So take your time. Let yourself enjoy. If it's too much, come back out of the forward bend. Don't go so far. One more breath. And then let yourself unwind on back into center. And then we'll rise on back up to the top, and we're going to switch legs. So stretching the right leg long, left leg again. Either comes into that figure 4, or you can always bring that right leg a little more across the midline. That makes it easier to cross thigh over thigh. And then again, easing your way forward. It's almost like imagining that your navel is coming up and over this front leg or knee, right? So coming forward with that real length in the spine. And breathing. You can reach your hands wherever feels good. Now to add that little bit of a twist, remember, left hand comes somewhere to the outside of that right long leg there, bringing your right hand to your hip and rolling that shoulder up and coming into that twist. And if you press the right leg a little more into your hands, you'll get a little deeper into the outside of that right leg. One more breath. And then slowly come on back around to the front, and then rising yourself on back up. And bring your feet onto the floor here. Let yourself hold on behind the backs of your thighs here. And go ahead and lean back. Walk your feet in a little bit. And try to keep a nice long back. So keep the balls of the feet on the floor for a second. And let yourself just enjoy drawing your chest forward in the boat pose here. And then you can float your feet up. You can get to where your lower legs are parallel to the floor. You can flex your feet. Press the outside edges of your big toe mounds together if you like that engagement there. See if you can just stay here, let go for a breath or two. Try to let it feel really easy. And then hold on behind your legs again. Imagine just drawing your chest a little more now towards your thighs. And see if you can come into longer legs a little bit. Totally not necessary to do that, but you can if you want. And then you can also keep the knees bent. You can let go again with legs bent or straight. Be where you can be there in your boat. Good. And then we'll bend our knees, bring the soles of the feet towards each other, whether the feet come out farther from you or you like to bring the legs, feet in towards you. Coming into Baddha Konasana now. So look at your feet and just see if you can get all the feet together, right? So that your feet are like really totally as much together as you can. Obviously, depends on how your feet are built. You just want to feel the toes coming together though, and the balls of the feet coming together, and the heels if you can. And then take your time. You can come forward or not. You can sit up, even just keeping your hands behind you to give you support and let you lengthen upward. Or you can come forward even with the hands back behind you like that, keeping the length, or bring your hands more forward. Just make sure you don't pull your feet up towards you, right? So if you're touching your feet, don't be up under them and pull the feet up off the floor. Let yourself take your time, enjoy, letting the hips release. Imagine the knees just gently reaching away from the midline. Finding release in the inner thighs. One more breath. And now when you come up, we're going to stay like this, seated, but we're going to bring our hands behind us and let ourselves just open the chest here, drawing the chest forward. You can be on fingertips or you can lean back onto your hands. Let your chest come forward, draw your shoulders back, and let the gaze come to where it feels good for your neck. You know, you may want to look up a little bit. You may want to look way up at the ceiling. That depends on your neck. Don't do anything that feels uncomfortable for your neck. Just open up through the front body here. And then come on back up. Bring your knees on back up towards the ceiling. Hands can either be fingertips turned towards your feet here or turned back like 45 degrees towards behind you, right? To where when you think of lifting your chest here and your hips into four-footed table, you're okay in your shoulders. And if you're not okay to lift up, don't lift up. Or if you come up and it doesn't feel good, try turning your hands the other way, right? So the fingertips face more backward than forward. See if that's better. And if neither one of them feel good, don't do it at all, right? Don't push anything into the shoulders. Let yourself be where you can. If anybody would prefer to come down with the hips and stretch their legs long, you can come into that reverse plank, letting yourself have long legs. Either one. For some of us, one of them is much more doable than the other in your shoulders. So you come where you can. Once you've had enough, come off your hands and move through your wrists, however you choose. Shake them out a little bit. And we're going to come down, but before you come down to your back, put your blocks towards the foot end of your mat, where your feet are going to be. And then get around here to where the blocks are at the lowest height. And when you put your feet up on them, your feet are like set up for bridge pose. So they're parallel. You can see them. I like my heels to hang off the block a little bit because it gives me more traction so I don't slip, right? And then just make sure, you may decide you want them a little wider. That's fine. You want your feet a little wider than mountain pose in bridge. And then we're going to come down. Okay, now when you come down, that's really telling because you kind of don't know whether you want your hips closer to your feet or your blocks or farther from. So kind of adjust where you think you feel like you want to be. Get your arms down alongside you and then bend your elbows. Let yourself press into the backs of the arms. Turn your palms to face each other. As you press into the backs of the arms, float your hips on up. Roll your shoulders under more. And now if you already know, wow, this doesn't feel quite right, come down and adjust how close your hips are to the blocks before you lift up. So you might want to be closer. You might want to be farther. You might want your feet a little bit different. You might need to change how far apart they are. Take your time. Feel like you're reaching your knees away from you. So there's this huge length in the front of your body, but there's also this great length in the back of the body. Nice. Very well. You can, if you like, you can come down anytime and go back up. If you don't like the blocks, don't use them. Come down, put your feet on the floor if you'd rather. Sometimes it just feels good to put your hands up and kind of give your back support. So if you're up high enough, you can even kind of put your hands up underneath your hips and on your low back and give you support. And again, don't listen to me. If you need to come down, you just don't wait. You just do it. Gently feeling the back of your head into the floor so you have space in your throat, right? And now be easy. When you're ready to come down, take your time. Bring your knees on in towards your chest once you get there. Move your blocks out of the way too once you get down. Let the knees come on in. Let yourself release side to side with your knees. And then, having the knees in towards you now, stretch your arms out beside you into a T position. Let your palms face up. Let yourself really release your shoulders down. And now as you exhale, flex your feet. Feel how we were in boat pose. The outside of the big toe mounds pressing towards each other a little bit. Inhaling again. And as you exhale, let your knees come over to the right. So they come towards your right elbow. And then when you inhale, bring the knees back to center. Now that doesn't mean they have to go all the way. Exhale, bringing the knees over to the left. Doesn't matter how far. And on the inhale, bring them back up. Now do a couple more of those. And if your breath wants to be the opposite, let it do the opposite. So if you want to inhale when you bring the knees over to the side, do it. So let your breath naturally go the way it wants. And now you adjust your twist the way you choose. So if you want to put your feet on the floor, let your knees come side to side. If you want the knees to come to one side and stay, when they're in towards the chest like this, do that so that you release into these double knee twists the way you choose. Or maybe you need to do another kind of a twist, and that is fine. If you want to bring one knee into the chest and let yourself come across, take your time. Maybe your body is insisting that it needs to do something else. So by all means, if that's the case, come into any movement or pose that sounds really good to you. Take your time. I'm just going to get all the lights, and then I'll start to walk around here at the studio and bring any kind of support anybody needs. But if you need to move a little bit more into another pose or two, remember, if you have a wall, lying with your legs up the wall is a really nice way for some people to release the low back, or putting something underneath your knees. A bolster, or if you're at home, you don't have a bolster, a rolled blanket, or a firm pillow underneath your knees. Those of you here in the studio, wave at me if the idea of a little support, any kind of support, sounds good. Remember, you can put a little blanket underneath the back of your head if you need to. If you feel like your chin rises up, give that support to the back of your head so that you find that release in the back of your neck. And if you need to move your arms, your legs around a little bit, by all means do. Feel free to adjust how you're lying down there on the ground. And then just take your time now. Feel the weight of the arms and the legs. Accepting your breaths now, in and out. Just feeling how the body feels. Yes. So take your time, let yourself enjoy accepting your breaths. If your mind wanders, it's okay. It's always going to. So see if you can just accept that and let yourself come back to your breath. give your body and your brain these few minutes. So you have these quiet minutes in order to benefit however you need from everything you just did. Simply by letting yourself completely and fully relax. gently, easily. Feel your breath coming in and going out again. Take your time. Let yourself appreciate the breath coming in and going out a little more deeply and fully. Feeling those deeper breaths bring you back into wanting to move again, fingers and toes, hands and feet. Just be mindful as you appreciate the movement of the body as you breathe in and out again. Take your time. You know you're welcome to stay on your back a little longer if you need, or roll to your right or your left side. If it's comfortable to come into a soft fetal position, it's giving your body and your brain a little bit longer to adjust. Stay on your side for a few breaths. And of course, when you do feel okay to rise up, to sit however is comfortable, take your time. If your eyes can stay closed, let them. If they open on the way up, see if once you get seated comfortably, if you can close them again, just to allow yourself to lengthen up through the top of your head and be with your breath again once you're lengthened upward. Finding all that space in your spine. Feeling released in your shoulders, your hips. And on your next exhale, letting your hands gently come to meet there in front of your heart. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Happy Tuesday.